Okay. Thank y'all for joining. This is our first meeting of the year. I had to think, what date is it? So we're in January, very exciting. Thank you all for joining. Our agenda for today, we have a good group and I appreciate y'all being on. So the agenda today will be Senator Waters will start and he'll talk about the write-in Biden campaign. And then we'll move on to Jon Kiper, who is running for governor. Thank you, Jon, for joining us tonight. And then we'll have Eric Johnson, who is running for our special election to fill Roger Munir's seat. And then Jeff Salloway, who's also running, sent me a video. It's about 3.5 minutes long. So I'll play that after Eric because Jeff has a death in the family and had to travel. I asked him to record something for this meeting just to say hi and to explain why he wanted to run. So, with that said, Senator Waters, the floor is yours.
Well, thanks, Amanda. It's so nice to see everybody, and John, to meet you by Zoom, and Eric, it's good to see you as well. And I will say Happy New Year because we haven't completely blown it yet, right? We're 15 days in, but we're still doing okay on 2024, I hope. But it's awfully nice to join you as we ramp up towards the primary. And I just wanted to say a few minutes about how I see the situation and what we have done with the write-in Biden effort and where we need to be a week from today. So I think that we all understand what's at stake with this election in November, and I think that it starts now on January 23rd. The general election really starts for us in terms of sending a message about our democratic values, because we know democracy's on the ballot. I mean, it certainly was in 2016, 2020, but ever more so in 2024, that we have to ensure that the basic principles of our democracy are defended because they are certainly under attack nationally by all the Republican extremist candidates. And with that, really it's our personal freedoms and our liberties connected to democracy are under threat with Trump because reproductive rights, certainly in this state beleaguered, and we have candidates now. I'm sure you all heard Nikki Haley last week say that she would sign a national abortion ban. So no matter what we might do in our legislature and what our people want, we would lose our reproductive rights. And let's remember, she signed a 6-week abortion ban into law when she was governor of South Carolina. But I still think, my goodness, our LGBTQ rights and, there's the basic freedoms. I ran for the legislature first in 2008 because I wanted to work on marriage equality, and we got it done. It was an extraordinary effort, always within a few votes, but it was the expression of our democracy and our belief in equality and people's ability to have their personal dignity. And we know where the Republican MAGA candidates are on this. And Nikki Haley again said last week that she didn't think that DeSantis's "Don't Say Gay" law went far enough. I mean, what's farther than what he's doing down in Florida? But I mean, this is the thing. We see this. I think also fundamentally our economy that's at stake in New Hampshire, but also nationally. I just think of myself as a jobs senator. That's what I've always been, and I've always been interested in economic development. I'm on, when I first got elected, it was Jean Shaheen's old Senate seat. She called me up that night and said, "Get yourself on a committee where you actually put people to work." So I went on transportation. Best advice I ever got. And then since that time, particularly renewable energy, what Biden has done, he bought, we got $1.2 billion into the state for transportation. That's why we see some roads being paved and why we see our bridges being repaired, while we're getting electric vehicle infrastructure. But on the side of manufacturing and the side of offshore wind development, 12 to $15 billion project coming to the Gulf of Maine. Let's get those jobs. Let's get that massive supply of renewable energy, 3.5 gigawatts. Biden has declared 30 gigawatts by 2030. 2030, and now with floating offshore, it's up to 45 gigawatts by 2030, and we can do it. We can do it if Biden stays in office, and we can transform renewable energy. We got a CHIPS Act plant that's going to be built down in Nashua for $25 million. We got the patent office, first and ever in northern New England. It's coming to Stratford County. And what this means for small business, what it means for entrepreneurial development, what it means for good union jobs. This is at stake. And I still don't understand the Republicans. What is wrong with full employment, inflation coming down? I saw gas for $2.65 up in Northwood today, right? Biden has worked hard to make this economy work and to have a more just and equal economy as well. We're going to lose that. We're going to be back to $8 trillion of deficit tax breaks that Trump passed, the largest deficits of any deficit increase of any president in the history of the United States, $8 trillion. And they're the folks who care about the economy. So it all fits together. And the only way to fight threats to democracy is by more democracy. And this is why a lot of us began to think in the late summer that we had to do something about the primary. We saw, really the boneheaded decision by the DNC, probably bad advice to the president, but there we are. And they just couldn't get it in their heads, no matter how much Jackie Witherspoon, who, God love her, is on rules committee for the DNC, and Donna is down there, and Ray explaining to them, by the way, we have the New Hampshire primary, and by the way, it's in state statute, and by the way, we're going to follow the law. And that primary was established in 1916 to get the party bosses and big money out of politics, and to say we can do our democracy ourselves. Thank you. So here we are. But there's more at stake about the New Hampshire primary than just whether our noses are out of joint because of what Biden and the DNC decided about the primary. As I said, democracy is on the ballot, and the only way that we can fight against Republican extremism is by having a strong Democratic effort, starting with the New Hampshire primary. And I think, we need to send that message. Some of us started to meet in late August, after early September, when, a lot of you were at the state convention when Jeanne Shaheen issued that clarion call to support Biden. And the congressional delegation has been just so strong about supporting this write-in effort, donating a staffer from Custer's campaign, and Nick Paul, and then we have substantial financial donations from all four of them, and then those folks who thought that we had to be ready by October 14th, when the DNC made its final decision, that we had to be ready to go. We did some work with the FEC on legal work so we could set up our operation and raise the money that we could raise and do the things that we could do. We had the website ready, the legal compliance, and then some committees that were set up to organize the effort. An organizing committee, a political committee, which we thought maybe we'll send 50 people, 50 meetings like this, and now we're over 60. Terry Norelli is running to have people like me and her and others go out and address folks and organize this. And then we had a media communications group, and that's been me and Donna Susie, and then of one of the two staffers that we hired, Aaron Jacobs from the Hassan, who ran the Hassan campaign last time in the state, and then Patrick Conway, who ran Mayor Donch's campaign out of Manchester. So we got staff. We've hit our goals on our fundraising. And really, the top line here is that it's a chance for Democrats to express our democratic values, and that's supporting the primary. But it's more than that. You all know that the primary is when we start to organize for November, when we start to get candidates who are going to run for state rep, state senate, and other offices. And I will tell you, as somebody who's going to be in the ballot in November, that we will be in real trouble if it is only the MAGA Republican message which dominates the next week and really going into the filing period in June. So we thought we better counter that. We better make sure that Joe Biden's message, and that we need to reelect Joe Biden. That is the bottom line. He is going to be our nominee. And we need to, we Democrats, I think, need to come home and get, and it's be determined. We're going to fight with each other. I have a lot of criticism about what's going on in some of our foreign policy and this and that and the other thing. And that's what we do because we're Democrats. But when it comes right down to it, we know we have to beat Donald Trump. So where are we at right now? We're moving into this final phase of organizing for the primary itself. And we have been able to print thousands of signs. We have kind of two versions. One is the write-in Biden yard sign, and then we have another that has sample ballot on it and a QR code. So if you want more information. And all along, our job has been to make sure that people know that we've got to do a write-in, that they know what's at stake, and that they will know how to write in Biden, and that we can get people to do it, get people who, when they come to the polls, there will be people there who can help them. So we're trying, aspirationally to cover 303 polling stations and have some shifts out there. And then we focus more closely on those wards and areas that produce maybe 60% of the Democratic vote, and those are the ones we're really trying to make sure we staff up, where there's a good, strong Democratic vote in the primary historically or in regular elections, and make sure that we have that. Now, Walter King and Larry Drake took on the job of kind of coordinating with all the town committees and city committees, and organize this effort of sign-up sheets for doing, having people at the polls with the signs. Then also, making an effort to make sure that the town clerks had the help they needed, because there's going to be ballot counting. There's going to be, it's going to take some time because of the write-in effort, and they need some help, and to make sure that we are encouraging people to volunteer to help out as well. I think we're in a pretty good place running into the final week. I think we have definitely turned the narrative for the national media, so that they're no longer talking about, Democrats in disarray and Biden in trouble and so on and so forth, that they understand this is a serious effort, that the Democrats are organized. The Democrats, as all the polls show, massive support for Joe Biden in the state. So that's good in terms of the press narrative. But now we got to deliver. We have to make sure that people, the primary we value, we think the better we do in this effort, it sets us up, because they're going to rethink again completely the schedule for the 2028 primary. And by the way, it'll still be state law. It might even be in the Constitution by then that we have the first of the nation primary. And anecdotally, I've been hearing from people in South Carolina, they're having trouble getting turnout interested in coming to the South Carolina primary, which was the one that was set up to replace us. And that's always been a case down there in South Carolina for the primary. But we'll do a good job. We're going to do our job. We know how to do this. And I'll just conclude by saying that those of us who remember long understand what it can mean to be a country in crisis. I mean, I grew up in the 50s when the FBI came knocking on my father's door, as he wouldn't name names, about friends in college, and told him, 4 children, a wife with polio, just lost a baby because she had gotten polio, and told him he'd never practice medicine again. Well, that kind of stunning message. And then, those who were in the 60s and 70s, a bombing a week in the early 70s. Think about that Nixon-Humphrey election, a few votes a different way, what it would have meant. How about Gore, Bush, few votes a different way, what it would have meant, particularly in this state. If New Hampshire had gotten over the top for Gore, Ford, it wouldn't have made a difference. So, if we remember long, but it's also about the future. I tell you, for the next generation, the climate crisis, jobs, affordable housing, we can't deliver any of these things to New Hampshire's youth unless we have another 4 years of Joe Biden in the White House. One last thing I'll say is this. The results yesterday in Iowa make it absolutely clear Trump is going to be the nominee of the Republican Party. And so I know some independents who lean Democratic have been thinking, well, gee, independents often like to go into the primary. There's more contest, right? They think, oh, I'll try to make a difference or do this or that. But right now, I think those are wasted votes. There's only one vote to take to stop Donald Trump, and that's to write in Joe Biden. Haley is not going to be the nominee of their party. And I tell you, as a Democratic, if I were an independent registered and leaning Democratic, and I saw that Haley is going to have a national abortion ban, she was horrible on education and teachers down there in South Carolina, that she's going to, ferocious attacks against LGBTQ. I mean, even strategically, how do I cast that ballot for somebody like that? And since Trump is going to be the nominee, let's vote for Biden. That's the message we can send. If the stronger Biden comes out in New Hampshire in this kind of weird and strange little effort, grassroots thing that we're doing, I think it's going to be the better for our country. So I'd be glad to take any questions. And I imagine that Lee is kind of doing some organizing around having some sign holders, and and so anything people have some questions or concerns about, let me know.
I'm
Go
the
ahead,
one,
Sue. Yeah.
I'm the one who has the signs. So if anybody knows of anyone, I think I've contacted almost everybody on this call who lives in Lee. If anybody needs a sign, I've got them and I will deliver them. I don't know if you need a sign, Eric.
I
Or-
had a sign and someone stole it.
Well, I have another one for you if you want one.
I mean, if I guess if the ground is soft enough, is it even soft? I could pound it in with a mallet or something.
Yeah, or a drill. But there might be enough snow that you can pack around it.
Yeah, yeah. All
Um,
right. I mean, yeah, if there's signs to give, I can.
I'll
I
just
can,
need your address. You can email it to me if you like.
okay. Yeah, I
So,
can have your email.
Sue,
Uh,
I was thinking about this because I've got a few of them. We just had 1,000 more made, and Walter King will have a lot, and we can get them out as many as people want. But I think that I was wondering about in Dover whether I'd start putting a few around the usual places where people put signs, or maybe put one where you legally can near the polling places on the night before. So we're gonna have enough signs. I mean, the first thing we saw, we have to have enough signs. There'll be totems, so that the people who are at the polls
mhm.
will have those. But if we have these other signs, other people show up to hold signs, great, we can use the yard signs. But maybe, I don't know what you think about having a few near the polling place in Lee or not.
Oh, definitely. I think having them where 155 meets George
Yeah.
Bennett Road is a
Yeah.
good spot. 155 is probably the busiest road through
Yeah.
Lee. I'll have to look at I don't know if people know, but the state keeps traffic volume statistics for every route and every community in the state. And you can go on to the Department of Transportation site for your community, and you can see which roads get the most traffic. And when I worked for the Shea Porter campaign and we had no money, not enough signs, we made sure that we placed those signs strategically on the roads that had the most traffic volume. And so I know what they are for Lee. I mean, it's 155 for sure is the biggest. Other than 125, where you can't really put a yard sign.
Yeah.
Because cars are going too fast, it won't be seen. That's a
I
waste.
think just that little right now, this next week, that little visual tweak, so the Democrats realize, oh yeah, we got a primary coming. And there's gonna be social media, the mailing,
Yeah.
we can't communicate or connect with the state party or with the Granite PAC that is doing all the mailings. But
Well,
that I think people are, because the mailings are coming out in such great volume, and the social media, I've seen on Instagram the write-in Biden and so on, and so I think people are starting to see that enough to realize, oh yeah, we got a primary, and so in a town like Lee, I think the grassroots part of it, which which the primary has always been about, is but for the next week, talk to neighbors. make some, make
Yeah.
some phone calls.
Hopefully people know more people than I do in town, due to the fact that I was kind of absent for 8 years working for Shea Porter in DC. I know fewer people than I could. So hopefully people on this call know more people than I do, local people. And if anybody on this call knows someone who lives on Route 155, please tell me. Or please, if you know that person, if you could ask them yourself, since I won't probably know them because I don't know anyone who lives on Route 155. People who know people get better results than someone who cold calls. As a stranger, you won't get as good a result.
Are you going to be able to have people at some shifts at the polls for
Yes,
this?
I'm still looking for more people. So, I mean, I'm planning to stand there all day,
Oh
but
my, well,
I can't. I have to drop off and pick up my dog at the kennel. Basically, I'm gonna have to put her in the kennel for the day, and so that'll cut me off on both ends. And I'll have to stop for some lunch in the middle. But other than that, I'll stand there all day. I've done that before. But
well,
I really would like some company.
it sounds to me like Sue needs some company. That's what I was going to say. It sounds to me, and
I know
maybe
Eric will
folks who are
be there.
running for state rep, maybe they could have one of those be out there with their sign and with the totem too. But it would be nice because Lee is a good town for us and a good town for Biden.
Yeah. Well,
It is.
Sue, I'm happy to take a sign, although I am on demerit and I'm not sure how much traffic I'll get. But if you want to send one to me, I'll definitely put it up.
okay. All I need is your street address. So
Okay, I'll send it
if
to you.
just email it to me. Same with you, David. If you'll just email it to me, that'd be great. And I'll probably try to start delivering them tomorrow.
Mhm.
Um,
Any other thoughts or advice I could take back to folks, or any help that you're going to need, and anything else, or?
Well, I have my hand up, but I don't know who can see what. So, David, I'm hoping the special House election will bring more Democrats to the table. And also a reminder, if they take a special election House ballot for Democrats, that is the undeclared people, then they have to take the presidential one. They can't do mix and match. Either they have to take two
I didn't know that.
Democrats or two Republicans. So we're hoping, especially in Lee and Dover Ward 4, that will work to our advantage.
Yes, that's a good point, and thank you for that. And I mean, really, I've been harping on it. I think Nikki Haley is going to be talking to the Senate on Thursday morning. Oh God, but because we've been doing that, we've been hosting them. But I don't mean to harp on her, but man, it just they're on the issues. They're so much the same, and I hope that the folks who are Democratic leaning, the independents, I really hope if you run into people, you can say, look, it's a wasted vote at this point. It might not have been if things had been different in Iowa, but right now it is a wasted vote. And wouldn't you much rather, have a ballot cast for the person who has to beat Trump? And so just, we're all talkers, right? We're the Democrats. We're all talkers. So we've got a week. We got a week to talk. Well, thank you all. I guess I'm going back out to shovel some more and maybe finish making supper. But good luck to the special election candidates. And again, anybody wants to get in touch or have any advice or any needs about signs or anything. But Sue, sounds like you've got it under control, and Tom, very good. So thank you all.
Thank you, Senator.
Thanks, Amanda. Good to see you, at least by Zoom.
Yeah, sorry. If I was prettier, I'd be on video, but today's not the day. Thank you. All right. Next up, John, please. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much for inviting me down here. My name is Jon Kiper. I live over here in Newmarket, and I am running for governor because I believe in democracy and that anyone with good ideas should be able to participate in the system, regardless of their wealth or political connections. I'm a lifelong New Hampshire resident. I grew up in Stratham, graduated from Exeter High School in 2001. And after working in a number of restaurants around the Seacoast area, I opened my own restaurant, Johnny Boston's, in 2014. I served on the Newmarket Town Council during the pandemic, which was fun. And while I was there, I came to realize there was a lot of issues I simply could not do anything about from the town council level. And as I looked at the way our state functions more, I realized that I believe the primary issue in New Hampshire is that there's simply a lack of middle class and working class representation in Concord. And this is because our representatives and senators are only paid $100 a year, as I'm sure most of you know. What I was startled to learn when I started researching this was that New Hampshire is the only state that does not really pay its legislature, and that all the states in New England and pretty much all 49 other states pay their legislature. And as a result of this, 80% of our senators and our state reps are either rich or retired. And the ones who are not rich or retired really struggle to hold a job and to drive to Concord, several days a week from, January to June. And that's something that I could not afford to do myself. And many middle class and working class people just cannot afford to do that. So I am running for governor to educate people about this general lack of representational democracy in New Hampshire and how important it is that we pay our legislature so that younger people can participate in the system. I'm also running to give a voice to millennials and to our younger generations because a lot of the issues that are being debated in Concord, such as housing, childcare, education funding, the environment, these issues are going to affect us a lot longer than many of the people in Concord. Another big issue for me is housing. I'm sure everyone knows how bad the housing issue is in New Hampshire. And it's gotten so bad over the last couple of years, I've seen a lot of my younger regular customers move out of the state because they can't afford to buy houses and they can't afford the rent. I'm losing employees because they can't afford to live here anymore. And I have been looking for a house for about 5 years. I live in a little apartment above the restaurant, and it's great, but it's 740 square feet. And, my son, I have a great son who's a second grader in the elementary school here, and I'd like to have more kids, but I don't have the room. And I am just seeing people in my town paying 50, 60, 70% of their income towards rent or mortgage. And this is just really going to have a detrimental effect on our local economy as it gets worse, because it means people will have a lot less money to spend at local restaurants like mine or at local bookstores or cafes. It's just as land values go up, it's really bad for the local economy if we don't build more housing. And I've come to realize that the main reason we do not have enough housing is really because we've been artificially constraining the supply through a tangled web of zoning and planning laws. And this is now, housing is now the leading cause of inflation. So as governor, I will aggressively pursue solutions for affordable housing because this issue directly affects my ability to live and maintain a business in New Hampshire. I don't know if everyone is aware of this. I think a lot of people know, but one big issue that we're also about to deal with is that New Hampshire is one of the oldest states in the country. The fastest growing demographic is 65 and up, which grew 50% from 2011 to 2021. And the reality is we're going to need workforce housing for the LNAs and the nurses and the EMTs who are going to need to care for this aging population. And I don't feel as though people are taking this issue as seriously as they need to. The reality is that our civilization, as every civilization, is a demographic pyramid. and we need more young people at the bottom supporting the older people at the top. And right now that pyramid is getting inverted in New Hampshire, and it's going to have really dire effects for our economy. I fundamentally cannot sit back and watch New Hampshire become a retirement community for rich people from out of the state. And I'm really concerned that people who graduate from high school in our state cannot afford to live in the towns where they grew up. I talked to one of my friends, her daughter just graduated from high school. She's working at the local cafe. Her daughter and her boyfriend are living at the boyfriend's parents' house, and they've just realized that, you know, working at cafes and stuff, they can't afford to live in Newmarket. And I don't know where they're going to go. I don't know if they're going to have to leave the state, but that just fundamentally seems wrong to me. So let's talk about solutions. I am proposing that we legalize cannabis and sell it the same way that we sell liquor, with, you know, state-run model. This would give us literally hundreds of millions of dollars a year that I think we could use to solve the housing crisis. We could send this money to the New Hampshire Housing Authority. Right now, the state of New Hampshire gives them $5 million. They're about to up that to $10 million out of the real estate transfer tax. But imagine if they had 100 million, okay? I think this could really change the game in New Hampshire for affordable housing. And the great thing about legalizing cannabis and taxing it and, you know, taxing it and taking the profits is this is money that right now is just, it's going out of state, okay? People are driving across the border and they're buying cannabis. It's a fact. So all this money that we could have in state is currently leaving the state. And as a business person, I think about, you know, all the money the state makes from people from Massachusetts stopping the liquor stores as they go up north, you know, northern Maine, northern New Hampshire. Imagine if they were buying alcohol and cannabis. I mean, that would be hundreds of millions of dollars, right? And that's one thing I've never heard discussed a lot when they've talked about legalizing cannabis is what if we did it the same way that we did liquor? And that would be just so much money in a state that does not want to tax anything. You know, this to me is almost like free money. Another thing we really need to do is boost our apprenticeship program. We need more tradespeople. You know, for 20 years, people my age and younger and older were told, you know, you got to go to college. And now we don't have enough tradespeople. And there's a lot we could do to boost the trades and boost our vocational schools so that not only high school kids could learn the trades, but I think there's people out there who need new training, who are not having fulfilling careers that could get into the trades and realize, hey, these jobs are paying really good money right now. The last thing I just want to say is that, you know, 30% of our state is Democrats and 30% are Republicans. And that leaves 40% are independents. And the reality is the independents of our state are going to pick the governor. It's not the Democrats and it's not the Republicans. And for the last 4 cycles, for the last 8 years, they have picked a Republican. And I believe that I appeal to those 40%, to those independents that are going to pick the governor. I think I appeal to them because I'm a small business owner. I've got a son in the public school system. And fundamentally, I understand the struggles of the working and the middle class because their struggles are my struggles. And I think that that will resonate with people in a very refreshing way. And even just in the short time I've been campaigning, it's been really funny because one of the best things I've heard from people is they'll say, you know, it would just be nice to have one of us in there. You know, one of us, as in not someone who's a career politician and not another rich lawyer, lobbyist, landlord type. So that's my pitch. If you want to learn more about me, my website is votekiper.org, or I'm happy to take any questions that anyone's got right now. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Do you want to put, or maybe Amanda, somebody put your contact info in the chat? I'll also send it out when I send out the recording and the thank you to the committee. I'm just going to jump in really quickly and ask my one question I always ask is, how can the Lee Dems help you?
You know, right now we're just trying to get the word out to all of the Democrats in the state. And I mean, the easiest thing that you can do is honestly check out my website. If you like what you read there, post it on your social media, tell your friends. You know, we're really doing a ground roots campaign, and we're we're really getting young people excited. You know, I've talked to a lot of people, and they're just excited to see just not the typical candidate, you know. And so anything you can do to tell your friends, your family, anyone in Lee, anyone around the Seacoast area about what we're doing here, I'd really appreciate it. We've got lit down at my restaurant, which is 170 Main Street. So we've got stickers and flyers and stuff that you can come and pick up anytime. And there's a contact form on my website if you're looking to help volunteer or anything else you can do. Thank you.
I'll say beyond the lit, your food is amazing. I do come in
Thank
very
you.
often. So just a little plug for there. Does anyone have any questions for Jon? Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, I usually have my 2 cents. I thought that was a great summary. I would have you mix in that we having a larger influence of free staters in our membership. And many of them are not well-to-do, and they do not care, though. So it's a trick, but that is a larger group than we've had before. So I'd keep them in mind.
It's true, and this is kind of, I think, one of the problems of not having the paid legislature is that the people that are willing, there are some people that are willing to do it, you know, for no money because they have a agenda, you know, like the free staters, and so they have no problem sleeping on somebody's couch or not making any money and going up there because they're looking at this bigger goal. And I mean, I just think a lot of the Democratic priorities, if we had a paid legislature and that allowed, you know, more working class people, more, you know, stay-at-home moms to go up there, I just think a lot of the Democratic priorities would be a lot easier to pass.
That's correct. And if you haven't seen it, the main bill they're pushing this year for marijuana is to make it similar to tobacco.
Yeah.
Except those in charge say the profit isn't important. So that's the only wrinkle they put on it.
Yeah, we'll see. I've been told there's a 50% chance it passes, and you know, if it goes in, I've got some tweaks to my plan. I've also been told that don't hold your breath about the state of New Hampshire legalizing weed this year.
Well, the governor has said at different meetings that's the only way he will pass a bill if it's state controlled. But the big argument is about do they want to make much money off it? Because if they do, we'll spend it. But anyway, you made some great points.
Thank you.
I'm just wondering, kind of a tangent on some of that. How much, I don't suppose anybody knows how much money is actually leaving the state and getting spent on cannabis, like in Maine or in Massachusetts.
I don't know that number. I know that the projected tax would be 30 to 50 million. So I'm guessing based on that, the profit, if the state sold it, would have to be like 100 or 200 million, probably more. I mean, I doubt that they're scanning IDs in Maine and Massachusetts to, you know, collect that information
Right,
about how much of the New Hampshire revenue they're stealing.
Any other questions?
Thanks again.
Awesome. Thank you, Jon. You're welcome. You and Amanda are welcome to hang out, or if you want to jump off, that's totally cool too. Thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. And good luck next week. No, not next week, March. Sorry, I'm so screwed up. Sorry. Good luck with your campaign.
Thank you.
Erik, do you want to make your pitch?
So, if it's all right, why don't we let Jeff in absentia go first, and then I'm happy to go. I also have some regular committee business that's probably not for Republicans to secretly find out about. So I'll wait until we're done with the recording piece to talk about that as well.
Okie dokie. So with Jeff's piece, give me a second. I'm going to share my screen. Make sure his video is up and ready to go. Okay. Where's my share screen? Can y'all see Jeff?
Hello, I'm Jeff Salloway, and I'm running from Lee for the position of state representative in Concord. And I'm really pleased to be doing so. As some of you know, I served in the House as your state representative from 2016 to 2020. People asked me if I retired from the House. No, I escaped. However, as you probably also know, we've been without our own state representative for the last term. We haven't been represented in the House. And my hope is to fill that slot in the January primary and the March municipal election so that we have representation. My record, my priorities over the 6 years that I served were fairly straightforward. Number one, I serve my congregants. Some of you have come to me and asked for help with problems, and I'm really pleased to report that I've been able to help make a difference. The second obligation is to vote my conscience, to vote for the things that I feel Lee really needs to improve the quality of life in our town, and of course for the citizens of our state. The third priority is to serve the Democratic Party, which I have attempted to do. In the 6 years that I served, we were able to get some really good things done. We were able to put dental care for adults on Medicaid in place in New Hampshire. That was our success. That was the message we sent from Lee. We were able to get restroom privileges for people who had irritable bowel syndrome and the like, and that was an improvement for people that needed help. That goes on and on. One of the biggest challenges we face is that we have what is called the silver tsunami ahead of us. And I've been working very closely for years with Ray Bauer and George McLaris to try to prepare the county for the growing population of elderly, homeless, and chemically dependent people in our midst. We've come up with a great plan, and for the moment, that has been blocked by partisan politics. And I'm coming to you with a pledge that I'm going to fight to put the facilities in place to service that population. You may also want to know that I would like to keep state government out of women's reproductive rights. They have no business being there. I believe that gun violence is a public health problem that we need to address, not by removing gun-owning privileges, but by limiting them and insisting on education for those who are carrying guns. We need to deal with a chemical dependency situation in our county. We're doing an adequate job of that, but we need to do so much more. So I'm here. You have my phone number, you have my address. My biggest commitment to you is keep open ears to my constituents. So I'm sorry I can't be with you. There are family issues that take me away from Lee, and got to deal through those. So to all of you, my warmest regards. Look forward to seeing you at the polls on January 23rd, and then again in March. We're going to bring this one home. Thanks. Hello, I'm Jeff Salloway.
Fine. All right. Stop my chair. Okay. So there's Jeff. Yay. What I'll do is send that video out along with his contact info. I know he says we have it, but just to make sure, when I do the recap email to the Lee Dems, so everyone will have it. Normally I'd say if you have any questions, but obviously just let him know if you have any questions. Okay, Eric, you are now up. Just let me know when you want me to end the recording.
Okay. I'll go through my relatively short speech from the floor for some questions, and then when the questions inevitably die down, that'll probably be a good time for it. So my name is Eric Johnson. I'm running for state rep to represent Lee and Madbury and Dover Ward 4. Proud Democrat, a business owner. I live here in Lee with my wife and my 2 kids and my dog. I support sustainable green energy, women's health, strong public school system, affordable housing, and equal rights. I currently serve on the Town Advisory Budget Committee, the Sustainability Committee, and the Energy Committee. And I'm running for state rep because democracy is not something you have, it's something we do, and it's worth doing well. And with that, I would like to let anyone ask any question that they have.
Tom, go ahead.
Hi, I don't think we went over it before. Have you thought ahead about some of the committees that might interest you?
You know, I have thought ahead about that, and I thought it was interesting because I looked up Roger's page from the general court, and he was serving on Veterans Affairs and federal and state relations, and I thought those were some good committees, and presumably they've got a spot open, and I would be happy to serve on both of those. I also have a accounting background, so any of the other committees that have a spot open that deal with budgeting or any other sort of number related issue, I would certainly be open to serving on those.
Yeah, we are missing some people, so you might have more choice than you think, depending on the timing of everything, because we have several people that are out.
Any other questions for Erik? Yes.
Hi, do you see this as a kind of sustained commitment to serving as a state rep?
You mean is this like a one and done type thing, or
Yeah. Do you see yourself serving several terms, or?
it's not a one and done. I couldn't tell you how long it would go. I don't think that would be fair to either you or me. But it would definitely, I would be at it again. There's no doubt about that.
Okay. Just wondering.
He'd have so much, he wants to do it again in November. Woo! Any other questions for Erik?
I've got one.
Awesome.
Could you go into a bit more specifics regarding some of the issues that you're finding important? Like, could you speak about what precisely you would try and do towards women's rights and regarding affordable housing?
Okay. As far as women's rights, I think the easy answer is whatever the Republicans are doing, you need to flip it and actually go the other way. What they have done recently is awful as far as the time limit. You know, I gotta be this is also one of those issues where I know enough to know that I don't know enough to do this by myself or with a bunch of other dudes. That listening to women on women's health is really the smart way to go. I should not be telling you what's what when it comes to your health. And then did you say affordable housing?
I think she did.
Okay. You
I
know,
did. I'm sorry. I had muted myself
Okay.
again and then messed it up.
That's okay. That's okay. I think the affordable housing issue comes down to basic economics, in my opinion, right? You have excess demand, you have limited supply, and the only way to get the price down is to either somehow artificially decrease the demand, which is not really the solution of this. It's to increase the supply. And the question is how you do it, right? But I think the main point to get across to everybody is that you have to build more, and it's going to be in your town, it's going to be in your backyard. It's just a question of how, and there's no way around it. Otherwise prices are just going to keep going up astronomically, and the state is going to suffer as a result. Does that answer your question, or do you want some more?
No, thank you, Eric. I appreciate it.
Okay. Al has his hand up.
This is just a heads up. There's a ton of housing legislation for this term. Just for help for you, you can go to the House has a special housing committee, and they've directed a bunch of bills there. There's ADUs by right. Coming into municipal county, there's also one that would allow you to do residential and commercial zones. So it'll be helpful for you just to look those over and read them over.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome advice. I mean, there's also, what, 3 state reps on this call, so pick their brain while they're here. Any other questions for Eric? No? Okay. Well, with that, we're going to officially end the meeting. I want to say thank you all for being here. The recording will stop. Obviously, there's some more to talk about. But I'm gonna put this on YouTube like usual. I will send it out to everybody so they can watch it again or share it with their friends and family. So thanks again to Senator Waters and Jon Kiper and of course Amanda, because I miss her. And
so sweet.
Speaking of state rep, and then thank you also, Erik and Jeff. So with that, y'all have a good night.